have two of Maryland's most influential content creators here today, and they are ready to burn the talking points. So we're going to talk about how do you create content online to actually influence folks in the political sphere? Where's the bridge from online into real life? And how do we win in 26 and 28? And what should candidates be doing to capture people's attention? So with us today, you have seen her online. She is a fighter for the Democratic Party. She is always first out of the gate when a big news story breaks. You will see her content instantly with what her reactions are. And I don't think I'm out of turn saying this, but she is always ready for a fight and maybe in a few currently at the moment. You know her as Candidly Tiff online. We are joined by Tiffany Carlock. Thank you so much for being here, Candidly Tiff. And then we also have Kenny, who is known as Too Raw, Too Real. You have seen his work across the nation. So not only is he a Marylander, which is fantastic, but he is in the content creator space in Democratic politics. And you've seen his work anywhere from yesterday or today, dragging Tim Cook, all the way to interviewing Madam Vice President during the campaign. So Kenny, Too Raw, Too Real, thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So let's start just right off the bat of how did you get into content creation? This is not something that maybe you were both in elementary school saying, I'm going to be a creator when I grow up, but this is fairly new for both of you in the last couple of years. How did you get into it? Like, why now?
About like 6 years ago, there was so much misinformation, disinformation that was happening around the 2020 presidential primary. So rather than constantly doing threads and having links and all these other things that people never read, I'm like, okay, they're not reading this, they don't care. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera on and I'm just go off. And that's kind of how it all jumped off. It all popped off, all because I had to debunk misinformation, and we created this thing called the K-Hive, where we rallied behind Kamala Harris, and then it kind of just sprung from there. Because this was not on my bingo card.
Do you remember your first video where you're like, oh, I'm talking to people. People are seeing this.
I don't think it was just like one particular video, but I do know that when a lot of big content creators at that time, whether it been Reese Colbert or Maya Contreras, me, Drew Comments, we created this thing called Live with the K-Hive, where we went live every day and we were discussing like what policies were possibly going to be on the ballot for us if we were able to beat Donald Trump in 2020.
Awesome. Tiff, how'd you get into this?
Well, I will say that I was at one point camera shy. I never liked to be on camera, but I was tired of the writing. It was too much, like Kenny said. It was a lot of writing and threads among threads on TikTok, on Twitter. So I was like, you know what, let me join TikTok. And I joined in 2021, and that was during the Nina Turner and Chantel Brown primary.
Ooh, that was fun.
Which there was a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna make a video, and I debunked like all of the stuff that Nina Turner was saying about Chantel Brown in an ad. So that kind of kicked off the TikTok piece of it. So that, I guess that's when you could say I became a content creator, so to speak, because before that I was like Kenny said, we were both in K-Hive. We both were we were going hard for VP Harris. Well, at that time she was just Kamala Harris running senator. Then it turned into Joe Biden. We were going to have his back. I wanted her to be VP. She ended up becoming VP. And then it was kind of a whole thing. So, but 2021 is when I really kicked off the content creation.
Would you consider yourself a creator now?
I say I'm more of an advocate.
You're a content creator who also happens to be an advocate.
The content that I create is mostly off of like news. So, or if I'm very upset with somebody, then I'm gonna go hard.
Would you not say you're an advocate, Kenny?
I would say I'm an advocate because there's so many things that I have to advocate for because, when you're looking at intersections when it comes to policies, I'm a Black queer man. And then I also have a sister who struggles with ectopic pregnancy. So there's so many things that affect me and my personal life and my family that I have to advocate for. I have no other choice. And I'm a regular schmegular person. I think what a lot of people don't understand is, but content creators, we live a regular life outside
You both
of
have
this.
day jobs.
Yeah. So I work, don't have to worry about where I work. But I work a regular 9 to 5 just like everybody else. And content creation isn't sustainable by itself. So just like everything else, policy affect us. Do we not drive? Do we not have health care? Do we not have rent to pay? Like, all these things affect us, and we see it happening in real time, which is the reason why so many people rely on content creators, because we have the cultural experience and the competency to speak on these issues. A lot of people in corporate media, they are completely out of touch. They haven't felt the true pain that us regular people feel.
I mean, I think what you're getting at too, the theme of Democratic ads in 26 and 25 is affordability. That's the theme that's going through everything. I do wonder if that would have been our theme in 2016, 18, 20, 22, 24, if the Democratic content creator ecosphere would have been more vibrant by that time, because I think what we're seeing is folks like YouTube, folks like other Dems in the state, kind of lifting these everyday issues up that they're experiencing, that maybe folks that have significant wealth are a little bit more inoculated from.
Well, I think COVID also played a part in this. So in 2020 there was COVID, and we had to get a message out some way, somehow. And so that kind of brought people together in that sense, that people were like, okay, who's talking about the election?
Yeah.
We didn't have door knocking. We didn't have all these things to be able to get messages out to people. So we kind of formulated like a little inner circle amongst ourselves.
I mean, I downloaded TikTok during COVID. I was like, I'll keep this, and then as soon as COVID's gone.
I resisted the TikTok thing for so long, and then finally, like I said, 2021, I was like, you know what, I give it. My daughter was on it. Did you
start with TikTok dances?
No, I never made a TikTok dance, so don't go there.
I mean, I only went on TikTok because I wanted to see the crate challenge and see people hurt themselves.
Well, that was funny. That was crazy, though. I mean, people were doing wild things.
Yeah.
I mean, I think TikTok was less political back then.
Yeah.
So 2020, it wasn't. My daughter loved it. She was like 20 at that time. I mean, she's like 19, 20. So she was having fun with it. It was kind of like a thing. Then my dad got on it, and he loves TikTok. I'm like, so it kind of crosses generations.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'll join, see what happens.
So your go-to is Twitter or X, but then you do videos on TikTok and then just cross-post.
Exactly.
Kenny, you're more Instagram focused, right? Is that
No. So I started everything. Twitter is
I know you got them all, but you're
Twitter's the root of all.
Twitter is the root of all. Okay, I'm talking about back when Jack was in charge. Okay, it was wonderful days. But so as far as that goes, I have been, upgrading my platform as far as Instagram, because honestly, before or after the election, I think this time last year, I only had about maybe 20K. Now I'm at 155,000, which is crazy that, I'm growing my platform so, largely. But I've been cross platforms, whether it been Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I'm doing my best on Blue Skies. I'm sorry, it's a little boring over there. But I'm trying to stay in, and I'm trying to jump into Substack. I haven't been able to really break that algorithm. And me and Tiff, we have a whole TV show called, Live with a Big Three.
Yeah.
So we're trying to break into the YouTube algorithm too.
Yeah, that's one thing, and we'll drop it in the show notes. We'll make sure that your links to your handles are in the show notes so people can definitely follow. And I highly recommend follow both of them on all the platforms. And I should have said this up top, but also, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever, make sure you subscribe. We need you to subscribe. That is the most important thing you can do to help do the reach. We don't sell ads here on Maryland Democratic Party. Part of campaign finance is preventing us from doing some things. So we're doing this purely to make sure that we're getting the Maryland Democratic Party message out and our candidates. So the easiest thing you can do is subscribe and get your family to subscribe. And then also follow Kenny and Tiff on, I would say, all of the social media platforms, but there's too many to list at the moment. But I think what you hit on, like the YouTube algorithm is going to be important. We are so overmatched on YouTube on the left. The right is, if you look at those that chart that has the follower bubbles of right and left and which ones are red and blue, we are completely overmatched. Are you seeing a lot of your fellow content creators migrating to YouTube to try and build that network, or are we still not fighting at the weight we need to fight at?
I think I've seen people migrate to two things. Substack, as Kenny said, a lot of people are moving there because, one, they can write, and you can write long form. So we're so used to doing, Twitter, where you just write this whole thread. You can actually write a whole story on there.
Great, a lot of Bill Ackmans over there.
Yeah. And
That was good, Kenny. You know that.
It's where Twitter and what Medium comes together.
Right,
Pretty
right,
much.
kind of like,
Good.
and then they have the live. So like I do a live every other Friday on there, and you just build a different kind of audience. So what I do in the big three is different from what I do on Substack Live.
So one thing that you talked about was YouTube. You have a YouTube show, which if you should say the name again, and again, we'll link it in the comments. But are you seeing a lot of your fellow left content creators migrate over to YouTube? Because we are so overmatched on YouTube. It's insane. And like, that's somewhere that we need to be fighting at a much stronger position. Are you seeing your fellow content creators migrate over, or are we still just ceding YouTube to the right?
I think that people are on two platforms. So people are moving over from, well, a lot of people moved over from Twitter to Blue Sky, which was probably not the best idea.
No, that's a disaster.
Yeah,
Everyone should, if you want to be on Blue Sky, great, but get back over. We need to be fighting the fights on Twitter.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
But then I also see a lot of people joining on Substack. And I think Substack is a different platform because you can, like I said, write long form on Substack where it's different than Twitter, because Twitter you write threads and people have to follow along. You can add videos, you can do more on there, and they also have the live function on there, which a lot of people are using that, especially like people that left the media. Yeah. They're using that to be able to have conversations. So I think that's a good thing. But YouTube is hard. It is really hard to crack that algorithm. Kenny has done a good job at it. I'm trying.
How'd you do it, Kenny?
I mean, I'm barely cracking at it, okay? The egg ain't even fully cracked. It ain't even scrambled yet, my God. So I'm doing my best. I mean, I've gained a lot of followers in the last couple of months. I think I had maybe 2,000. I'm at 20,000 close to. But part of it is just moving my content over there. I think I just kind of gave up on YouTube, kind of like a lot of people just are giving up on Twitter, saying, you know what, let them have it. But we can't. Like you said, we have to fight back. And I do see a lot of content creators that are able to break through. Tyler Brian Cohen, he goes live on YouTube, and he has great long-form content. And I'm trying to break into that space as well, so that way we're not overwhelmed with propaganda.
Yeah. I think that is so important. And the more you're doing on YouTube, the better. Anyone out here that wants to, push back, YouTube is the place to start growing an audience, because we are very overmatched on YouTube, and the democratic ecosystem needs to fight back there. Let me talk to you a little bit about your life as creators, because it's fascinating just how you have a 9-to-5, like you said, but then you turn on the camera and it's like a whole nother side of your life, if that's a fair way to put it. But like, why political content? Why not pop culture? Why not music? Why not sports? What is it about politics that makes you want to be in this space?
Well, for me, there's a void on civics. So a lot of people do not understand, or they forgot how civics works. And when it comes to the federal government, there's the checks and the balances. You have the 3 branches of government. And a lot of people just really don't understand how it works anymore. So that was kind of my lane that I said, you know what, I'm going to focus on civics. So I had a whole series called Civics with Tiff, trying to make people understand the filibuster, try to make people understand kind of how it all works. The Senate especially. The Senate especially, because a lot of people do not understand all the procedures that have to go on in the Senate. So that was my focus for many years. And then it came to a different point where I was just like, you know what, I'm going to go off. And then it was mostly focused on Maryland.
So, and I want to hear from you on this too, Kenny, but what you said is like you started with Civics with Tiff, and then a moment happened, you went off. I assume it was, again, the primary in Ohio. So the incentive structure, though, on social media is like controversy, hype, excitement. Like Civics with Tiff is important.
Right.
Is it also boring for people?
I think you have to put a spin on it little bit. Yeah, you have to put a spin on it and make people see. I mean, you can tie it into the story of the day. So whatever, again, we were going through a whole fight over voting rights, right? You needed the filibuster to be, so you have to kind of connect the dots as well. And I think that was the point of it. And I still do it today. I mean, I'm talking about the General Assembly. People in Maryland probably don't even know who their rep is, like who their delegate is. So we
You're
have to connect.
You're in a fight with a couple of reps in the General Assembly.
Yeah, listen, I fight with a lot of people.
I appreciate you holding the Freedom Caucus accountable about that. You are the number one fighter on holding the Freedom Caucus accountable because they are spinning some nonsense out there.
Right.
Kenny, like why politics for you? I know you talked a little bit about it impacting your family, but like, wouldn't it be more fun not to have to wake up every day and worry about the state of the world?
Well, I think ignoring the issue doesn't mean that it goes away, you guys. But as far as politics, honestly, I would have loved to just, turn on my camera, talk about pop culture, what's going on with Nicki Minaj and Cardi B and all those people. But those people don't pay my bills. These people don't help me in any type of meaningful way to actually impact my life. So I have to talk about politics. And it's not necessarily that there's no need or space to do so. I think what allowed me to do it is I do it in the most unconventional, I don't know how you want to say it, the most, what would you say, controversial way that you possibly can do it. Because I just don't have a filter. I don't necessarily know what's going to come out of my mouth. And I say things raw and uncut and is real, and I just don't care about how people feel. Just argue with these facts, not your feelings. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the part where I was able to take up this vacant space in politics where I'm able to blend, the entertainment from pop culture with politics to where it's just palpable to the people. And it resonates. That's the reason why a lot of people like my content, because it's funny, it's interacting. I'm always doing something. I'm out of the box. I got a box full of wigs, girl.
He does. Every time.
Characters.
Even
skits.
I, who have known him for many, many years, I am stunned sometimes when he comes out with the craziest things. Like he's making songs, and it's
awesome.
impressive because it's a comedic piece to it.
I mean, sort of what you said, and to quote Brother Ali, whatever comes up, comes out.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's gotten you in trouble, though, before.
Of course. I'm always in trouble. But you know what? I don't mind being the villain.
But that's also something that like is a lesson for Democratic politicians or Democratic creators, is this idea that we can't offend, and like we shouldn't offend for the sake of offending. But like, how do you think about that line of controversy sells? I may say something that gets me in trouble, but it furthers the cause. Like, do you get what I'm talking about?
I understand, like, with weighing, but here's the beautiful thing about being a content creator. I don't have anybody depending on me. So I understand that, we have political figures who cannot obviously do that for certain reasons, but that's the reason why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to be the voice for the voiceless. I'm doing it because they can't. So allow me to be your anger interpreter. Let me go ahead and go off so that you don't have to get in trouble, so that you don't get stripped from your committee assignments. Let me do it, because I ain't got no problems doing it.
So both of you have done some content creation around the 26 midterms, with the current Congress, all of that. How are you viewing your role within the current ecosystem right now? Like, what do you view your role as?
Well,
or do you view yourself as having a role?
I think my role is, I view myself as, like I said, an educator, someone who is educating people, and I'm advocating for the things that I believe in. So if I want to talk about what Trump is doing and how that's going to affect our bottom line, which is our budget, then people will understand. And I'm telling people, pay attention to this, because I can predict what Trump is going to do and what is going to happen before it even happens. So my role is kind of seeing the big picture and getting people to realize that while everything seems great now, it may not be in a couple months. So that's what my role is, to kind of educate people and get them to see what's about to happen.
And I think my role is pretty much just addressing voter apathy. I think a lot of people are constantly just, beating down the Dems, saying, oh, that nothing's happening, they're not doing anything, do something, Dems, or oh my God, we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas, when that's just not the fact. Part of it is also educating people, getting people engaged in any way I can, whether that means me putting on a wig or whether me cussing some folks out and debunking misinformation. Whatever it takes for people to get engaged, to understand that what's at stake.
Yeah, that is incredibly important. Do you feel like you have any responsibility to current elected officials or the Democratic Party at all?
No, I don't have any responsibility for them. Their responsibilities for themselves. However, but I do have a responsibility to the people. Yeah. And I think that people don't understand that when we're looking at it, we only have two choices, whether we're going to sink into fascism or we're going to try to, salvage any semblance of democracy. And there's only one party right now that has, a viability to actually combat this, and it's the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Listen, there's no one that I am beholden to, so I can say what I want. I will criticize the Democratic Party. I will criticize the governor if I disagree with him. But for the most part, what I'm trying to do is trying to talk through the things that they are doing. But if I don't agree with it, I'm not going to hold back. I mean, I don't work for you. So, but I'm happy to give you. But I think there's a way to do it. So the way that I do it is I actually will say, well, let me give you constructive criticism. This is what I think you should do instead, rather than beating down. Because a lot of that do something stuff is beating down the Democrats versus actually trying to walk them through what should be done.
Yeah, and I think that ties to the right-wing space, which is something that here at the Maryland Democratic Party we've thought a lot about. And, some politicians, some state parties might not have you two on because, like I said, you've criticized the Democratic Party, and they'd be like, oh, no, we need to only say exactly what we need to say for this poll test here. But our view here is like more is more, and we're a big tent party, and we need to hear things we're doing well. We need to hear things we're not doing well. But that's something I feel like some politicians are still too scared of, where on the right, they figured out that if someone agrees with you 10% of the way, go on their podcast, take their audience, deflect their questions, and go. And most people are going to be pretty nice to them anyways. I feel like we haven't quite figured that out in mass on the left. We've seen Ro Khanna starting to really make some inroads. We've seen Jake Angelos, is that how you say his name? The congressman on the Northeast doing some things. We've seen Jamie Raskin's been out, we've Andy Bashir, Wes Moore, Gavin Newsom. We've seen individuals. I still don't think as a party we've figured out, go talk to everyone all the time. Are you seeing progress from your seats as creators, or is it?
I mean, I've seen progress. I mean, I can at least say at least from the federal side, they have a whole podcast. I do believe they go live on Instagram, and I actually watch it every now and again. I mean, I saw Lauren Underwood lead, panels and talk about what they're doing in Congress. But part of it is also reaching out to larger creators. You have to meet people where they are, and most of the people are not on your page. I mean, look at your followers. I got more than you, so that's a problem. What needs to happen? What needs to happen is you need to be able to reach out to content creators with large platforms. And I'm not just saying people who just solely talk politics, because when you're looking at people who talk either pop culture or, lifestyles, these are the people who have the largest audiences. And even when you're looking at lifestyle content creators, our lifestyle has something to do with politics, everything, the cost of living, whether you can afford to take your children to school or are they going to get free school lunch. All these things have intersections, so you have to blend these two together. So you have to do that work and reach out to people who are willing to have you on and willing to lend your voice to their platform and their audience.
And do you just slide into their DMs, or how do you?
I have, actually. I've slid into Chantel Brown's DMs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite. People slide into my DMs.
Come on now. Yeah.
They do. And so, I'll give you an instance. So you mentioned Ro Khanna, right?
Yeah.
So me and Ro Khanna, we have battled for years on Twitter, right? So we argue. He never really argued back with me, but I would argue with him. So finally, one day he just came into my message and he's like, "Listen, I respect you, and I appreciate all you do, and can you share this for me?" And so we do have a odd friendship in a way, but it's okay. I'm okay with disagreeing with people. I'm okay with folks we agree on 90% of the things. There is one thing that we probably do not agree with, and that's Medicare for all, but that's not a deal breaker for me. I still appreciate the work that you do, because guess what? He is out there talking about the Epstein files, unlike others.
You heard it here first, folks. Ro Khanna, come on the podcast. Tiff will be here. We can hash it out in person. People will love it. Come on, Ro.
I'd love to see that.
Congressman Khanna, my apologies. So, open invitation for Ro Khanna to talk with Tiff on Burn the Talking Points. Can I bring up a controversial topic that has been in the news recently?
Shoot.
So, I'm pulling up an article here. It's by Taylor Lawrence in Wired magazine called "A Dark Money Group is Secretly Funding High-Profile Democratic Influencers." this has made the rounds around both Democratic politics as well as the influencer community. And there's been a lot of back and forth. There's been debunking of it. There's been, attacks on it. There's been confirmations of parts of it. Kenny, can you talk about your reaction to this article?
I'm not sure if I can, because according to her article, if I talk about it, I'm going to not get my money and I need my check. But let's talk about it, because that's all lies. Okay, so let's just get into it. First of all, there's a lot of misinformation about Chorus.
Can I give the quick thesis of what this is?
Go ahead.
So
Shoot.
Before you get into it, Kenny, here's the quick thesis of what this article says. There is a Democratic group called the 1630 Project. 1630 Project. I could be wrong on the name. But they fund Democratic content creators. And according to this article, they've signed a contract in which they are not allowed to, 1, criticize Democrats, and 2, disclose their paid or their affiliation with the organization. Now, there's been a lot of reporting that has refuted this coming out. And Kenny, I'm going to turn it back to you. What is your reaction to the Taylor Lorenz article?
I mean, as a journalist, I would think that you would do your proper research before you actually put out this type of trash. But as far as 1630 has worked with several different groups in order for them to get funding. But also 1630 also believes in transparency because they support campaign finance reform. But however, they're not going to operate with both hands tied behind their back. The system is the system. But as far as being a Democratic lobbying group or any of these things, it's just misinformation. I do remember that 1630 also helped fund Bernie Sanders' campaign with Our Revolution. So there's so many different integral parts of what's going on. But as far as Chorus goes, Chorus
is the program they funded.
Yeah, Chorus is, well, they're not necessarily funding Chorus. They're pretty much holding their money. They're working as like this financial branch to help us get our money, pretty much.
So it's like a fiscal sponsor.
It is a physical sponsor. That's exactly what 1630 is as far as Chorus's relationship.
And so just so the audience knows, Chorus is the program that Taylor Lorenz reported on that she says funds Democratic content creators and is supposed to be secret.
Yeah, so if it was so much of a secret, why were we talking about Chorus back in November 20th, particularly when I posted a video and actually added a donation link where people could have, supported by ActBlue by clicking the link, which is still in my bio. We talked to other content creators on how to actually apply for the program, which you can still apply. What it is just an incubator program. It's a sponsorship allowing training, teaching you how to curate your content, make long-form content, telling you about which font is actually better, whether it be captions, how to utilize AI, how to be able to reach a broader scope of audience. And honestly, my audience has grown in the last few months just by being with Chorus. We do daily briefings on basically how to, write our captions, which one is going to be better as far as getting a better outreach, how to fight back against this algorithm that's constantly shadow banning us or hiding our content through the algorithm. So there's so many things. I've learned so much, and that's all this is. It's just a cohort of people who have the ability to talk about whatever they want to talk about. It's not something that's on the branch of the DNC. I'm sure the DNC probably read this article like, what the hell is going on? Well, why are we in it?
So just some quick questions. Can you criticize Democrats as part of
Yes. I mean, I recently criticized Chuck Schumer when he, voted to continue the continuing resolution. I went the hell off. I said, get the fuck Chuck. So it's impossible for me to not be able to be critical. And also, this just launched in July. So if this is something that the DNC had been able to do since the election, like, why are we just launching in July? So y'all got back pay or something? So money that can reach back in time in the Mandalorian.
So it's not the DNC. This is a separate.
This is it's a 501. It's a 501c. Okay, so we're literally independent.
And if folks are part of Chorus, they can talk about being part of Chorus, or they cannot.
Yes, we can talk about being a part of Chorus, but however, there are some people who don't necessarily want to talk about being part of Chorus. But the reason why is for their own protection. There's people in this cohort that may not necessarily be full citizens of the United States. Mm-hmm. And we already see with being open and, out front about criticizing this administration, that you can have a target on your back. So that's the reason why a lot of us, some people decided not to speak about it.
Yeah.
I spoke about it. I was very transparent about it, and I'm fully transparent about it. What Chorus allows us to do is be fully independent and autonomous, to where we don't have to constantly worry about, oh my God, I got this 9 to 5. How am I going to be able to do this content all the time? They want to make it to where content creators are able to operate independently and make this their 9 to 5. And that's the issue. A lot of us lack the funding. If they actually invested into content creation, realizing that most people get their information from social media and not corporate media, they would understand that this is a really good investment.
Yeah.
Just think about it. Be honest. How often, maybe not you, maybe not you, but let me ask the audience. How often do you stay on MSNBC, or what is it, Miss Now? Or CNN, to where you're constantly having to stay locked into what's going on, to where they never get to the fucking point. And then all of a sudden, you've wasted hours just waiting to get the bits of information while constantly trying to keep up with your regular 9 to 5, keep up with your children, keep up with your regular day life, versus going to a content creator that can give you the same amount of information in less than 5 minutes.
Well said. So, final word on Chorus from either of you. Anything you want to say before we move on?
Tiff, you gonna apply?
You should apply.
I will apply.
Do they do state parties? Do they let state parties apply?
No.
Listen, I think the whole thing is just blown out of total proportion in how it was presented. When you say dark money, it makes people think that there's something nefarious going on. But in reality, these are people trying to gain more knowledge on how to create.
It's a training program.
It's a training program, which has now turned into something that is bad. Yeah. How can it be bad? Like you said, all these bubbles of all these creators. Guess what? Turning Point USA, they have a program.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have that. So the fact that we do have it is great. We should have 5 more cohorts, not just this one.
Yeah.
And can I just end with one more thing about Chorus? Okay, yes. So there is also one more thing about Chorus that people are spreading misinformation about. There are people in the cohort who have spoken on the Gaza and Palestine situation. There are people who have been hypercritical, not of only the Biden administration, but Democrats as well. There are so many people with different ideologies that have decided to come together for a common goal and purpose to uplift our liberal agenda, which is pretty much maintaining democracy. And I don't see how that's a problem.
Well, that's a good transition to winning in 26, because we need to be a big tent party in 26. When we talk about winning in 26, then ideally in 28, what do you two think needs to happen between now and November 26?
Well, for 26, I would say all politics is local. So what is happening in Maryland is happening in Maryland. What is happening in New York has nothing to do with what's happening here. We can cheer for other people, but we have to focus on the issues that we have. We have Trump threatening to go to Baltimore. I mean, these are things that we are focused on. We have a governor's race here in Maryland. We have all of our delegates and our assembly is up for re-election. We have a lot to focus on. So I think, like I said, whatever's happening in Maryland is the most important thing to me. But we also have a Congress that has 435 seats that are out for re-election. And so I can't focus on every single. I mean, no one has the time to focus on all of those races. So pick 5 that you want to be able to talk through and cheer for and be able to donate to. But we cannot be all things to everyone. And I think that's the hardest part as a content creator, because there are people that you want, that you like, that you want to be able to support, but you're only one person.
Yeah. Kenny?
I mean, I agree with everything that Tiff said. Also, just like to your point, when it comes to focusing on your local state, because this is nothing I can do. As much as I want to advocate, and I do advocate for other people outside, but I mean, I can't vote for these people other than the people that I can vote for in my state. So obviously we have to focus on our home first before we can look and try to tell other people what to do. The second thing is also understanding within these midterm races, what has to happen is we have to stop the bleeding. And right now we're bleeding out pretty bad. And we're also seeing this effect happen. You just did a video about this, and I loved it, about the effects of what's going on with Donald Trump's administration, how this is affecting the Maryland budget, which is going to affect our taxes. So all of these things are interconnected, but we still have to keep our eye on the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have one more thing.
Yeah,
so
please.
This is a little bit of me preaching here about expectations. Okay, people have expectations for what Chuck Schumer and Leader Jeffries are supposed to be doing in this moment, right? And so what I feel is that their job is to protect their caucus, to get their caucus to be in line to vote. The people that are fighting are the people that are fighting, and those are governors. Focus on the governors, the mayors, the local officials who are fighting this fight with Trump, and let Congress do their job. We have a major issue that's going to be occurring at the end of this month, which could cause a shutdown. So let them do their jobs and stop expecting them to do so much, because I don't know that they're really prepared to do it the way that you want to do it. So for 26, give people a little bit of grace is what I'm saying.
I think Kenny is skeptical of the give Chuck Schumer some grace.
Look, Mr. Pterodactyl, I just don't have much grace for him. But as far as Leader Jeffries, I do believe that there's not so much he can do. He's not in a position that Chuck has. Chuck has the filibuster he can use, but Leader Jeffries can't do any of those things. And I feel like all of it's like weighing on this man, and he's not allowed the grace to grow.
So you guys talked about all politics is local, focused local. In Maryland, we're going to have over 400 seats if we count county councils and things up in 26. Quick plug for everyone. We are going to contest every seat in 2026, and we need you to run. So go to mddems.org/run to learn more about how you can sign up to be one of these candidates in 2026. But one of the things that we need to do is, as candidates, is they need to up their social media game. I think we talked offline a little bit about it. What would your recommendations as content creators be for candidates, knowing obviously they have their own 9 to 5, they're also running a campaign, probably the first time they've ever run. But like, what's your recommendation for candidates in 26, knowing that they don't have congressional budgets?
Reach out to content creators. Most of the times when people reach out to me, I'm doing stuff for free. Oh my God, all that dark money. But the reason why is because I care about the policies. I care about making the real change. So please reach out to us content creators. We have large platforms. We can help you. I mean, I'm local. I mean, there should be no reason why you're not utilizing your social media presence to propel you so people can actually have a lens on what you're doing.
And for me, it's just like Kenny said, reach out. We're here. I am happy to come to your event, to talk about your events. You are having events, but if we don't know about them, we can't go. The way that we reach other people is through our content. So if people see me at an event, it may inspire someone to want to come to your next event, to donate, to be able to talk to their neighbor about what you're doing, or what it is you're running for. I mean, you really need to be able to get in contact. And like I say, we do this for free.
What about folks that all right, they reached out to you, great, you did a collab. I mean, is the recommendation just like post every day, be on everything? More is more? Or
you can't be everywhere at all times. I mean, you're not God. But what you can do is post when you can and try to make content, or just reach out to just younger people. I mean, I think the problem is I see like this deer in the headlights from a lot of people who are running for office. Like they don't know what to do and they're concerned. Or like it's a hostage situation. I think they're just being held hostage in a basement somewhere when they're just looking into the camera. But just reach out. I mean, there's easy ways of doing it, and just be your authentic self. Just let the veil come down, because that's what people really want to see, and that's what really resonates with us.
And if you're not Mondami, don't try to be Mondami. Like,
exactly.
Don't
Oh my
be
God.
something you're not.
Don't be something you're not.
Every single candidate's like, I need to do man on the street, direct to camera.
Yeah, please don't
it's like,
do that. Also,
if that's you, do it. If it's not you, don't do it.
I think the other thing is like a simple thing, like show footage from your events.
Yeah.
Like you're having them. Just show people that you're working, because a lot of times people don't even know that you're doing the work. And it's a simple thing to do. So I think they just need to, and again, they're giving speeches. Take the footage from the speech that you're giving. It's not hard.
I want to end with one game and one challenge for you, but I also want to give you the floor before we end of like, as creators, as Democrats, as Americans, what is the one thing you want to like just shake every Democratic candidate by the shoulders and say, like, listen to me, you have to do this. You have them locked in a room. They have to do what you say. Like, what is your one thing they must do if you have the ear of every Democratic candidate?
Tiff?
Be real.
Come on.
Be real and talk about the things that are happening in your community. Don't hide from them. Don't shy away. There are things that are happening, and you should be able to talk to them, and you should be able to address them. So don't hide from what is actually happening. That is all we ask, is just to talk through what is going on.
Don't pretend an issue doesn't exist.
Exactly. And answer questions. Please, Lord,
Oh
answer
my God,
questions.
you just stole mine.
I'm sorry.
All right, Kenny, what's yours?
Well, one was answer the damn question. I mean, directly. I mean, don't play with people's intelligence. But the other thing, too, I think what I have like a big pet peeve when it comes to Democrats is that when you're addressing people, don't play with their intelligence. Don't skirt around certain things. Just give it to them raw, real, and as cut as you possibly can be. And just again, let the veil down. Allow people to see your personality. I mean, get the stick out your ass. My God, it's not that serious.
All right, so I want to end with a game, and then I'm going to give you a challenge for the road here. We're going to play a game called What's the Hook? As content creators, you need a hook in your videos. I know we talked offline, and both of you are like, I don't do hooks. That's not true. Both of you have hooks. So I'm going to give you both an interesting topic and then a boring topic, and let's see how good of a 10-second hook you can do. Kenny, do you want to go first?
I guess.
All right, so these are all made up, folks. Please don't quote me on these. I just saw a news story that Donald Trump was walking out of the White House to the helicopter and fell down on the White House lawn, and you're going to do a video about it. What's your hook? And do it straight to camera.
Okay, hold on. Give me a second. So he just tripped. And
Tripped and fell.
Okay, so Humpty Dumpty fell on a log. Humpty Dumpty had a big fall. Big fat big back.
Lord.
All right. Tiff, this one's for you. We're up at Congress, and it is a vote in committee, and Mike Johnson. Actually, let's not do Mike Johnson. Let's do Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan falls asleep in the middle of a vote about releasing the Epstein files. What's your hook?
Oh, boy. This is a hard one. Epstein? Well, okay. This is going to be wrong. This is going to be bad. But I'm trying to think. How
Just
to
say it.
how
Just
to
say it.
phrase this properly. He fell asleep on the job, but he didn't fall asleep when those boys were. I'm not going to continue.
It's true. Jim Jordan. You should Google Jim Jordan, GYM, and see what comes up. What I'm going to do, you both create content daily, if not more. I have in here phrases that are not offensive, but they're like old-timey, folksy phrases. What I'm going to ask both of you to do is pick two phrases out, and then I'll have you read them. And then fans are going to follow you on social over the next 2 weeks. Anytime in the next 2 weeks, you need to work each of these phrases into a video, but it can't be like, oh, I need to say it because the Democratic Party told me I have to. You have to work it in like a natural script. Do you think you can accept that challenge?
I can. However, I want everybody to understand I'm committing to this, but I'm not shilling.
Correct. Correct. All right, Kenny, pick two. Tiff, pick two. And then I want you to read.
You have to pass me.
Yeah, can you pass it down? And then read one after the other. So, Tiff, why don't you read your first one?
Okay.
So these are the phrases you're going to have to look out for.
That's like bringing a salad to a pizza party. Technically fine, but why?
Okay. Kenny, what's your first phrase?
My attention span is shorter than TikTok made by fruit fly.
You could pick a different one. That one's not great.
Yeah, that one.
All right, Kenny, what's your first one here?
You ever notice how every group project has one person who disappears like they're the witness protection? Okay, I could do something.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You could definitely do that one.
Tiff, what's your second one?
My patience is thinner than a hotel pillow. I could definitely do that one.
All right, Kenny, what's your next one?
This feels about stable as Jenga tower in a hurricane. Oh, this is good.
Okay. So, folks, we're going to make sure we have their social handles that we're going to release with this episode. You need to follow them on social and see if you can find where they use those phrases over the next 2 weeks. And we'll be on the lookout as well. So, Kenny, Tiff, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your knowledge as some of the biggest content creators here in Maryland, but not only for creating content, but fighting the Democratic fight, because we know it's a lot easier to tear things down than build it up. And so the fact that you're here in the party, having these conversations about how we grow is really important. So thank you for being part of it. And anything you want to say to the audience before we leave?
Well, make sure that you follow me on Too Raw to Real on all platforms. Again, I'm everywhere. Okay, catch me when you see me. And also support the big three, which is me, Tiff, and Zactivist on YouTube. We go live every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be going live again tonight.
We sure will be going live tonight. We have a lot to talk about.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. And make sure you subscribe to Burn the Talking Points wherever you're listening or watching. Thanks, everyone.